I will have this conversation or this argument with any investor who believes Uber is the shit, the bomb, the stock, right? It's not. And I'll give you many, many reasons why. You had your moment of glory. It went up to maybe 57, 58 after you won Proposition 22. But you're facing such headwinds, you're facing such, and I'm going to give you multiple reasons to investors why this makes no sense and no sense, CENTS, right? Investors are losing the faith in Uber, and here we go. So lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit, they're being sued every week. Every week, the little bad boy Uber has another story in the news. Why? Because it is in their culture, which they've never been prepared to change that culture. They go in, try to shake it up, break the laws, bait and switch, bait and switch, bait and switch, and then down the line, ripple effect, lawsuit, lawsuit, lawsuit. It won't end. Hasn't ended since Dara K came in. The acquisition guru, Mr. Expedia, Dara Khosrowshahi, is supposed to be the know-it-all. I mean, what acquisitions has he really made besides Postmates, which is a complete dud? They just let 185 people go, right? He is literally offloading. He offloaded Elevate, failed. Offloaded their self-driving car. They had no chance against Waymo, Tesla, Zeus, no chance, right? So they offloaded that, right? So he's selling to drum up some money. But what do they have? Yeah, they have a lot of downloaded apps worldwide. They're doing okay on Uber Eats, which will fade away quickly as the pandemic ends. People won't be ordering food anymore. They would want to then go out to restaurants. They've been waiting for this day for almost 1.5 years, right? You have the Uber Rideshare, Uber Mobility, dead, nothing, right? And the biggest problem there, and I think the biggest problem overall that investors don't understand, is that Dara Khosrowshahi, does not know how to treat people, right? He does not know how to treat his drivers, the people that bring in the money. And they are leaving him in droves. They, bye-bye, bye-bye. You're not paying me this essential pay during the COVID. You're engaging in race to the bottom fees. You're paying me less. I'm doing more. I'm working during hazardous times. You're not taking care of me. The drivers are so effing done with this idiot. They're marching away. They're going to other companies, to other gigs. So that mobility sector, which was once there, it's literally evaporated. That's all they have. It's all they have. And yeah, they're going to be still selling food deliveries and that, but all of those orders lose money, big money, right? They're all in the race to the bottom. Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, they're not making money, right? All they're doing is screwing over restaurants. So how the media portrays them, it'll never end because their culture doesn't change. They will always be the bad boy. They're always screwing over the drivers, always screwing over the restaurants, and the public is listening to this. And the moms and the pops are not investing. They're just not investing. So this Mr. Acquisition Guru guy, has he shown you a profit? I'm asking you, Mr. Investor, has he shown you a profit to date in the Uber Eats or in the driver, the mobility division? I'm asking you, has he shown you a profit? No, and he never will, because he just cannot close that gap, right? Next media story, next media story, next media story, doing nothing about safety. People are dying, being assaulted, being raped. And as long as the public hears that, this is what happens, right? This is what happens. Goes down and down and down. He had his brief moment of glory, caught a little bit of a boner because his stock went up to 58. People say, oh, it's going to go much higher. Bullshit. It won't. There is nothing there. It's like an empty box. There's nothing. Kid opens up the present. There's nothing inside. There's nothing exciting. It's not even wrapping paper or a ribbon. It's just an old brown box. That's what Uber is. They have nothing, right? So as long as they don't change their culture, as long as they keep on engaging in the race to the bottom, they'll never get out of this. They'll never, ever get out of this. Drivers that I represent, I can tell you, the people that actually bring in the money, the delivery people, the hard-working people, the drivers in the cars that are out there during the pandemic, they were expecting to get essential pay. Both Uber and Lyft gave them the middle finger. They're leaving. So that industry won't even rebound back. Those people that used to take cars have moved on. They have capitalized on low interest rates. They've gone out and bought their own cars. They're not going to sit in a car where potentially 15, 20 COVID people, COVID possible people could have sat in that day. They're just not going to take the chance. I talk to these people, and this is the talk of the street, right? And you go into my channel, the Rideshare Professor, just read what the people say about Dara Khosrowshahi. Zero respect, nothing whatsoever. So are you surprised? I'm not surprised. It's under, what is it on today? What is it on? Let's see. $48, barely over $48. So Proposition 22, they believe they can introduce the same formula. They've spent $2.5 million on lobbyists. They think that they can buy government officials. Maybe they can. Maybe they have the money for that. Maybe they try to influence those markets or buy themselves out of problems. But the few million strong soldiers that bring in the money, they're done. Uber has such a bad rap online, right? Lyft is getting such a bad rap. They just introduced priority mode, poverty mode, something that Uber didn't come up with, but Lyft came up with. And for those people, those investors who are listening in, if you don't know what poverty mode is, Lyft says, hey, you know what? If you don't drive more, we give you less trips. And if you drive more, which you'll get more trips, we'll pay you 10% less. I'm not making this shit up. So are you surprised, Uber? Are you surprised, Lyft? Are you surprised, Dara Khosrowshahi, Logan Green, John Zimmer, that the people are leaving your company? I'm not, right? 2019, all the people that actually helped build your company, the top referrers, Harry Campbell, Dustin, Torsten, myself, the people that have brought you thousands and thousands of drivers. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to know this. The public needs to know this. The investors need to know this. They wiped out all of those referral monies, brought in a new law, didn't pay this guy $200,000, didn't pay me $400,000, didn't pay a colleague in San Francisco $1.6 million. And they think we're not going to come after them. So you have so many lawsuits in the pipeline. You have so many class action lawyers, law firms around the country, Lichten, Riordan, Potter Handy, they're everywhere. They're just filing for the wrongful terminations, for the abuse towards drivers, the poor safety, right? The misclassification of drivers, independent contractors / employees. It never ends. And here we have these investors are trying to pump it up on what? You're pumping up fresh air, man. You have nothing inside that box. Nothing of substance. Nothing. Right? You look at a company like Airbnb, you wonder why they're doing so well. Yeah, they literally have every city, every country. They represent homes and people that want to stay there, businessmen, people going on vacation, pay. Airbnb gets a cut. They have a real solid business model. Homes will be around in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Vacations will be taken in 5, 10, 20 years. What does Uber have? Uber has a model that is transitioning to autonomous driving, autonomous vehicles, and they're not even in the game anymore because the fool Dara Khosrowshahi sold off that division to Aurora. They're not in the aviation industry anymore. They sold Elevate off to Joby. What do they have? Again, ladies and gentlemen, and Dara Khosrowshahi is an empty box, a human that doesn't understand the behavior of other humans, a human that mistreats other humans. He got interviewed 2 weeks ago by the New York Times by a lady. And she said, you have no shame? You know, she was hitting them with all the negatives. He goes, no, I have no shame. Those drivers and that will go through a lot of pain. You have no shame over that? He said, no. And she said, wow. At New York Times, where I work, we care about the people. And he says, you know, we care about the investors. You know, obviously they care about SoftBank and their Japanese guy that's investing in, through SoftBank and a couple of other people. But that's not what Uber is about. Uber is about the total picture. Uber is about what's in that box. The good drivers, the quality people that built the company, the drivers, the recruiters, they're gone. They've moved on. And Dara Khosrowshahi sits there with a present under his Christmas tree that is not wrapped and there's nothing inside. It's just cardboard. I'm telling you right now, right? And the media keeps on pounding them every single week. Money is not being put into safety. Riders are not subjected to background checks, right? They abolished pools so late in the game. So many people got infected through COVID in these Uber and Lyft cars. They didn't even wake up and smell the coffee until halfway through the pandemic. They didn't get the PPE and all the masks and that to their drivers. They said, go in there, work more under those hazardous conditions, and we'll pay you less. So you surprised, dear investor, you surprised, Mr. Executive, Mrs. Executive at Uber or Lyft, that your people are leaving you in masses en masse? Come on. And the bottom line is, you and I know it. Moms and pops ain't going to buy that stock because they've never, ever turned a profit. It's always a huff and a puff and a little story and a press release each time and an excuse. Oh, we're going to get there next year. We're going to get there by that and that quarter. We're going to get there by early next year. They just keep on pushing that marker forward. They never get there. So why do you buy in? Why are people dumping their Uber and Lyft stock? Because it's, like I say, it's an empty box. It used to be a fun job. I would say, even if you'd survey any driver, I think they fared way better under Travis Kalanick than Dara Khosrowshahi. That they probably had more respect for Travis than Dara because he treated them like humans. He paid them. Dara came in from a travel company, from Expedia, thinking he was the hotshot, the Mr. Acquisition guy. He's done nothing. In all of this time, he's bought one dud called Postmates, and he sold off all these other losers, all these other losing divisions, right? So how do we fix this? How can one turn the company around, change the culture? You get in a new CEO and fire a couple of people on the top that want to work with humans, that have drivers on the board, that empower them, that give them a voice, and the people will come back and they will work for you once again. You pay them essential pay during essential times. You pay them hazard pay if they are taking doctors and nurses to the hospital. Then those people will come back, right? You make sure that you get PPE to your drivers so they are protected, right? And I would stop engaging in these bait and switch marketing campaigns where drivers and riders see straight through you, right? You go out there and say, for example, they say to riders, you'll get 10 million free rides, right? And a week later, 10 million free rides. If the government will help subsidize them, then our drivers can take them there. If you are coming out like Uber, 10 million free rides, Lyft, 50, 60 million free rides, that's how you bait the people. They think, okay, well, there's hope. I can get down and get my vaccination. And then there's the switch a week or 2 weeks later, but hang on, we don't have the money to pay for that. The government really needs to take care of this. This is how they portray themselves in the marketplace, trying to be Mr. Nice Guy, but it's ugly, man. It's an empty cardboard box, my friends. Good luck with that stock.